Hello everybody, I am Kallmekris and you can call me Kris, and today we're talking about some more serious stuff. Since it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and because I've gotten so many requests to talk about my mental health journey and stuff that I've gone through that has gotten me here, I thought it would be a good time to talk about this stuff. And I've been holding off doing this because it's a very touchy subject for me, but I think it's really important to talk about this stuff because so many people are going through it. But I also want to start this off by, with a trigger warning. I will be talking about not only depression, anxiety, other mental health issues. I will be talking about eating disorders and suicide and suicidal thoughts. So if any of that will be remotely triggering to you, feel free to skip this video completely and go watch one of my more funnier, lighthearted videos. Okay? I don't even know where to start, to be honest. I guess I will start in middle school because that's kind of when everything started. I was diagnosed pretty young with depression. My mom had and still suffers with depression, but she knew a lot about it and she could see the signs in me when I was younger. I just would isolate myself. I was not very social outside of school and sports and stuff that kind of forced me to be social. And I just was not ever happy. I pretended to be happy a lot. It was something I got really, really good at. So nobody outside of my family knew about anything that was going on, because it was just kind of stigmatized when I was in middle school and even in high school. It was just like something was wrong with you. And I also just never wanted to be like a burden on anybody, like let alone my parents, but like my friends and that kind of thing. So I would just always put on this happy mask and tell jokes and make everybody smile, which did make me feel better, and it still does make me feel better. Anyway, it started in middle school with depression, and soon followed anxiety, panic attacks, a lot of hyperventilating. Getting into high school, I moved from a middle school where I had a few good friends, and I actually moved to a high school where the people from my middle school went to a different high school. Like, it was in the same catchment, so I went to a different catchment, so I was kind of like the new girl in my high school. Luckily I had some girlfriends that I played sports with and everything that were in that high school and everything, but yeah, started off as the new girl. Always was known as like the innocent girl. I didn't really party. I didn't do anything, drugs or alcohol or anything like that. I mean, until later years in high school, but yeah, and I think one of the worst years in high school was grade 10. And if you don't know which one is grade 10, I'm not sure which country you're in or whatever, 15 to 16 years old. I had a friend commit suicide, and it was just a really awesome guy. And that was at a time where I was feeling the same way, and I saw everybody's reaction to that. And that's what prevented me from ever taking it that far, because I saw how much people were affected and how much people were hurt and and he was so young, and I know so many people that were super close to him and just wish he was still here and that he had so many like good years ahead of him. But when you're in that moment of darkness, I understand. You feel like there's no escape. But there is. So grade 10 goes by, really just a somber year for the whole school. And then I started going to therapy. I was kind of forced to go into therapy. And I did not want to go to therapy at all. I wanted to pretend that I didn't have depression, anything like that. So I went through the therapy. I had so much pushback. I feel so bad for any therapist that had to deal with me as a teenager. I had so much pushback when in reality I really just should have talked to this person, because they've dealt with so many people that are going through the same thing as me, and for some reason I felt like I was the only person going through this and I was something special when I absolutely was not. And then going into grade 11, still struggling a lot with depression, mostly depression. I had a little bit of anxiety, on medication for depression and everything. And it was starting to get better. It was starting to get good. I was starting to level out a little bit, enjoy myself, go out with friends a little bit more. I felt like I wasn't faking it as much in grade 11. Up until up until I got raped. That was that was probably the lowest I had been ever since I had experienced any kind of depression. After that, I completely shut down. Completely. I was on autopilot for the next year at least. Nobody knew. I didn't tell anyone. I was embarrassed and ashamed, and I don't think anybody would believe me. And that's not how it should be. If you're put in that situation, you always should tell somebody, come forward, go to the authorities. It's hard when you're younger, and especially since I came from a really conservative family, and they didn't even know that I was remotely sexually active, and at that point I hadn't been really. And around that time, and that was coming into my graduation year, my grade 12 year, and I coasted through grade 12, and talking to the couple friends that I still have now from high school, they didn't, like, I was a pro. I was a pro at acting like nothing was wrong with me. And they're just finding out now, after me doing interviews about mental health, and it's not remotely their fault. I was just a very good actor in school and at sports. And my parents really had to force me to be social and to go out with friends and to do stuff because I didn't want to. I didn't care. As soon as I got my license, it fucking sucks. My first thoughts while driving, I just wanted to drive off a cliff or into a pole. I was so done. Obviously, I did not. And the thought of my family just having to go through that is what stopped me. And I know, and it's so awful that that is often the case, but it is what saved me, and I'm so happy for that. And they've always been so supportive through everything, even if they don't understand completely. After I graduated, I went into post-secondary, I went into university. I wanted, at the time, to be a teacher. And I had just gotten out of a kind of shorter relationship. I had a boyfriend for a year, kind of like my first boyfriend for a year. And it was fine. It was a totally fine relationship. It was just my first relationship, and I just realized that we just weren't, like, I didn't see myself with him for the rest of my life. So after that, started school, and I started going back to therapy. I started my medication again, and things actually it started to get better. I got a scholarship for soccer, and then all the pressures of school and being on a university soccer team and all of this stuff started to come up, and then my anxiety really ramped up. Like, I experienced anxiety before in high school, but not like when I got into university. I had gotten into a new relationship, the relationship I'm currently in with Aaron. That was on my 19th birthday. Actually, it was our first date. And I was okay for a couple years. I was okay. I was taking my medication. I was doing any therapy if I needed therapy. Being with Aaron really helped. He had gone through some horrible injuries. He broke his back and had to get like a whole reconstruction surgery done on his shoulder because of a ski accident, and he was going through a lot, so I was able to help him through that. And he was going through a depressive episode, as of course, like he was bedridden for a while, and he was so used to being active and all that kind of stuff. So I think looking back at it, I was distracted, I guess. Good distraction. Like, I was able to care for somebody else and try to make him as happy as possible and make him okay, as you should as a partner. And then in 2018, in the winter, I got sick. I got nothing serious. It was just like a flu times 10, and I lost weight. I think I lost like 10 pounds or something like that. And I've always been just average. I've always just been average. And this is kind of segueing into the eating disorder. So again, if you are watching and you have any sort of triggers with eating disorders, please, you can feel free to leave the video. Always going through high school, I was, and many other girls, always crash dieting, always trying to look a certain way and all that stuff. I never really took it too seriously. I was always very, very active. I was always in like 4 sports at a time and all that kind of stuff. Ate whatever I want, but since I was in so many sports, it didn't really matter. But I had this moment in December of 2018 where I had lost that weight, and I was also back in a darker place, and I definitely suffer from seasonal depression. It gets really, really bad in the winter. And I decided that I wanted to start working out, and I thought that would help. I hadn't played sports in a while because I left university and decided to pursue hairdressing. So I wasn't playing any sports. I wasn't really working out much. I was just working, really. So I decided I wanted to work out, and me and my sister made this workout plan in the beginning of the year, January of 2019, and we were gonna go every other day of the week and like bust our asses and get in really good shape, and I was all for it. And I was like, you know what, this will be really good for my mental health. Even my doctor was like, yeah, this is a great idea. Losing that just random 10 pounds, and I looked weird losing those 10 pounds. I don't know why. It just like people noticed, and I got that feeling like, oh, I'm supposed to look like this. Like, I was not pretty before, but now I'm pretty because people are like, oh, did you lose weight? But then my family was like, what, did you lose weight? Like, we're concerned about you, kind of thing. And I was just like, I was just sick. And then after I started working out and becoming healthy and only eating clean, never eating sugar, never doing anything like this, and I continually lost weight, and I didn't need to lose weight. I was at a healthy weight. It was completely fine. It started to become a way of hurting myself, and I was fully aware of that. I was fully aware of what I looked like, and that I shouldn't be doing that to myself, and that maybe this is the way that could justify me not being here anymore, because it's not outright hurting myself. It's really hard to explain, and it's really fucked up. Anybody that's ever suffered from an eating disorder understands how your brain is completely miswired. Like, you can't think properly. And for me, I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa of July of 2019. My family gave me no option. They forced me into, as they should, into either inpatient, which I was all signed up to go into, or outpatient, like every day. At that point, I was so brainwashed, and I just wanted to die. I didn't care. I didn't want to go to outpatient. Probably for the first 6 months of going to outpatient, I didn't do anything they told me. I didn't even try to eat more, do any of the exercises they did. I was so stubborn, and I was just content with the idea of just letting go. And I never looked at myself in the mirror, because I couldn't. And I'm not going to show pictures or anything like that, because I know for me watching videos when I was at that point, it's a comparison thing, and it's really unhealthy, and I don't think it's good for anyone to look at images of me looking like that. And you don't need to look a certain way to have an eating disorder. I think that's the most fucked up thing about eating disorders. Like, you think you have to weigh a certain amount, or you have to look a certain way in order to have an eating disorder, but that's not the case at all. So I'm not going to be putting up any pictures or anything like that. I saw myself in a picture that somebody else took of me, and I got so scared. I couldn't believe I did that to myself, because I never looked in the mirror, and had my body dysmorphia didn't see, when I looked down, what I saw in that picture. And I kept that picture and printed it out and had it up. And that's the day I started actually recovering. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without Aaron, who's like my rock through all of that and so understanding. Or my family, or my friends. And it's not something I've talked about ever. But I think it's really important because I know so many people go through that. Not just anorexia, bulimia, all that kind of stuff. And recovering was hell. Absolute hell. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm still not fully recovered. But I am keeping that upward trajectory, and I'm really proud of myself. Because I have those thoughts come back in my head all the time. After I started recovering, I relapsed many, many times and developed bulimia. And it was all out of guilt and wanting to give up and feeling like it's never gonna end, the recovering period. But obviously it did. But it took at least 6 full months to get out of that cycle, which I know some people go through it for years and years. And at that 6-month point, when I finally said, okay, I diagnosed myself as recovered, very close to the time I downloaded TikTok. I was still doing group therapy and regular therapy and taking medication, doing regular doctor's visits. But at the time I had my own home business as a hairdresser, and I had to close my doors because of COVID. So TikTok was just a pastime. It was just for fun. And I always, ever since I was a little girl, always wanted to be a stand-up comedian or an actress or something like that. But I grew up in a really conservative family, as I said. And they just wanted us to have a 9-to-5 job with a pension and all that kind of stuff. So I knew that was never going to be a thing for me. And I was okay. I was okay with that. And then TikTok came along, and I found a coping mechanism, and I could make people happy. And that made me really happy. And at times I got distracted and forgot to take care of myself at the beginning, probably the first few months of TikTok. And then I made a post, the first post I ever made about mental health, my mental health. And I just realized that I can't. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm not going to lie and say I'm okay. And I'm going to be open about how it truly is okay not to be okay. And that the only way to get better is to tell people and to acknowledge it. And getting messages from you guys, especially after that video and a couple other videos I've made on mental health. You guys don't know what you did for me. It's because of you and my family and Aaron that I'm still here, and I think and I hope that even if none of this happened, I would be okay. And backtracking a little bit, I forgot about the one little guy that fucking saved my life was when I got a dog, Kevin. 6 months. The week I decided I was going to recover from my eating disorder. The week I decided is when I got Kevin, my puppy. Because I knew I had to feel better, I had to get better and take care of myself in order to take care of him. And I knew I couldn't go anywhere or do anything bad to myself if I had him. So many nights I wanted to hurt myself or end it, and he would just be sitting there staring at me. And I laugh because it's how I deal with things. It's probably not the healthiest thing, but a dog has saved my life on so many occasions. So let's fast forward to today. I have gone through lots of therapy, been on and off medication, but I have found a balance, and I have found what grounds me and what's important in my life, and I know now what I need to feel okay. And I know who I need to talk to if I don't feel okay and if I'm feeling scared. And I think that's the most important part. And just knowing that you're not stuck in this day, in that really, really shit day where you feel like you're at your darkest. There's gonna be another day after that, and it can get brighter. And we don't think about that when we're in those really dark places. All we think about is now, and we don't think about next week or the month after. You deserve to be here. I deserve to be here. It's been a long journey of loving myself, and I'm definitely not finished with it, and I think I'll have to work on it for a very long time. But it's that I'm working on it. And I really hope that if you're feeling any way that I have, or you can relate to this in any way, I hope this could help one person. I truly do. I'm sorry for crying so much. I never cry, and apparently I needed to cry this entire video. And I'm probably gonna watch this back and see that I missed a million things. I was really nervous to talk about any of this, but I just want you guys to know that I love you so much, and you absolutely helped save me, and I hope I can help any one of you in any way, and just know that we're a family. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. I will see you in the next video, and it will be much more upbeat than this. Thank you.